Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Toy Addict's recent video in which they, in my humble opinion, Toy Addict did a video about the $9 billion toy collector industry among adults, and it was the most insulting, disgusting thing I have ever seen said about any good and kind community I've ever seen. And essentially what they said was that toy collectors are just a bunch of groveling, disgusting drug addicts, and that they all want to get the next action figure to hit that dopamine hit, to get that next dopamine hit. They're all just buying action figures to get that next dopamine hit, to get that next dopamine hit. And I will tell you right now, I've seen this in a lot of places. Somebody did some scientific study and they're like, oh, when you do something that excites you, you get a dopamine hit, which is the same as when you take meth, right? And now everybody's like, oh, well, we're just scrabbling monkeys. Nothing we do matters. We're not like thinking beings or sentient entities. We're just scrabbling animals, right? And I know why people like to hear that, right? Because I'm an evangelical Christian, right? And I have a sovereign God that I have to obey, right? But if you don't believe in a God, you can think you're the top of the chain, and then you could just say, well, when I do something wrong, it's just because I'm a scrabbling ape, right? Like, and it's disgusting. And I was so appalled by this. And what it taught me was, you ignore Dungeons and Dragons at your intellectual, emotional, and spiritual peril. The people at Toy Addict are outrageously cruel, disrespectful, disgusting insulters of the community that literally makes them rich, which I think is horrible, absolutely horrible. I do not like this video, but I'm gonna let you make your own decision. You can get the link for it below and check it out, right? But I think what they're saying is, like they said, so I'm gonna summarize that video. $9 billion industry, and everybody who's collecting these action figures, they do it for a dopamine hit, and they're no better than a meth addict. Which I'm like, that is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard anyone who makes money off of a community say. You make money off of this community and you have zero goodwill for them. That is disgusting behavior, right? And what's even worse is all this happens because of that outrageous, shocking ignorance of Dungeons and Dragons. So let me explain to you what's actually happening and by the way, you know what they call them? They call adult collectors of action figures kidults in the video, which again is so outrageously insulting and disrespectful and unkind and disgusting. It's just disgusting behavior. It's like a comic book shop owner who, some kid comes in every week and just buys Archie, and they're like, they're disgusting. They should be buying only Iron Man. Right? It's the worst. It is the absolute worst. Making money off of somebody but giving them nothing but your disrespect. It's horrible, horrible, disgusting behavior. And I really despised everything I saw in this video. I really, really hated it. Right? And so, and if any of them had stopped to play Dungeons and Dragons, they would have actually understood what is happening on the toy collection area. All right, so first of all, here we go. This is my take to explain to you what's actually happening in the $9 billion adult action figure collecting community, okay? No one is chasing a dopamine hit like a meth addict. What they're doing is they are either consciously or subconsciously recognizing patterns in our culture, okay? Now, first of all, the vast majority of these action figures are Marvel and DC. Okay, they are the tip of the spear in this community. There's absolutely other IPs that are in there, but I'm going to talk about it just from the Marvel and DC perspective, and I think it will flow out to the rest of the. I think it applies probably at an 80% level to the rest of of what's being collected. Okay, so Marvel and DC, if you're not aware, this is an extremely deep subject, right? Like, Batman reflects humanity itself with no superpowers, right? And Superman reflects literally a god, like someone who has so much power that it's not fair, right? Like they have power at the levels of what we would connect to a god, right? So there, and this is not an exaggeration. There have been 100 uh, doctoral dissertations written about understanding spirituality, understanding intellect, understanding emotion through comic books. Comic books have literally won Pulitzer Prizes, right? This is real art discussing real themes, right? So when you're collecting Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and Silver Surfer, you are connecting to some of the deepest themes in American art. You're not just pursuing a dopamine hit. This is literally, this is gathering to yourself icons, talismans that contain our art and our culture in a physical space. That is noble and worthy activity. Okay? All right. Next. Right? Marvel and DC are now 100% canon to Dungeons and Dragons and have been for years. Okay? DC through Lego, Marvel through Magic the Gathering. Okay? The connections are very real and very direct. Okay? So that means, and then, just so you're aware, years ago, back in 1983, Gary Gygax made 1/18th scale action figures. So when you are collecting these Marvel and DC action figures, you are gathering to yourself, right, icons that can be used for life modeling. This is a very real, and because that's what we do with Dungeons and Dragons. We're telling narrative that we are progressing ourselves with from the intellectual, emotional, and spiritual level. And these are icons that are literally part of what are used to do that life modeling, right? And if you get them now, you're actually saving money because the world is going to learn how important this is and replace major mental health tools with these. It's already happening, and it's only going to happen at a faster rate, right? So that's my point is they have this disgusting, horrible, insulting take on this community that does nothing but serve them, right? When if they had just read the DMG, the PHB, and the MM, they would understand that's what's actually happening is people are gathering icons that can be used in life modeling, which is an extremely noble and worthy activity. It's not scrabbling in the dirt for meth, right? This was the most disgusting take I've ever seen on any community from the people who benefit from that community the most. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.